Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Mr. Rage, and to start off, I'm not going to be comparing Gray Zone Warfare with any other game because despite small similarities, this game really stands out. I'm trying not to get too excited as the current game industry shows a bad pattern, but this title is not only looking real, but real good. So first I'll mention all the things Gray Zone Warfare is supposed to do different or better than any other game in the genre. Then I'll go over everything we know so far about it and its release and even get into the lore. But first, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe with the notification bell on for further Gray Zone Warfare updates. Now let's get into it. Gray Zone Warfare will offer persistent dynamic servers where AI are all doing their own jobs on their own missions for their own factions. Their behavior will make sense. I wanted to touch on this first. I'm highly interested in what they're trying to do here. You will run into AI characters all living their lives, completing objectives throughout the world, not just mindlessly churning butter or something. This means a big boost in immersion if it's done well, and it hasn't been achieved at the level in which the developers describe. And this is something I've been wanting out of a tactical shooter experience for a long time. A whole other constantly living world I can escape to for hours with next-gen graphics. This game, if it nails what the developers are trying to nail, will be scratching an itch I've had for years now. And it seems I'm not the only one who wants this experience, as evidenced by the huge interest we've seen in it. Gray Zone Warfare is doing something innovative with recoil, the weight of the weapon, even when it changes after firing bullets, and the magazine lightens, and what attachments you have on your gun will all affect recoil. I've never heard of another game attempting this, and I'm extremely excited to see how it feels to shoot. This game will simulate how bullets enter all different surfaces, including the body, and how it interacts with its organs and cavities, and of course accounting for types of ammo and armor. 50% blood loss equals a coma, and you'll need a transfusion done by a teammate. If the organ is destroyed, you die, and if you survive, you will experience different symptoms and effects, and you can bleed out if you don't receive medical attention. And you won't die from being hungry and thirsty. You will have negative effects like depleted stamina, and weather will affect you somehow, but thank you. I think it's so stupid how in other games you die from hunger so quickly. Just have negative performance effects. This will ensure immersion is not broken. No game has done a damage and health system like this before. I have to say, as an OG gamer, I'm excited to see such a detailed health system in action. See how it works and feels to play. If you haven't noticed yet, the developers are going for a very realistic approach. I'm just hoping it's still playable. Full and complete realism is not fun. They do assure us that they've been attentive to crafting these realistic systems in a way that ensures playability, but we'll see. Quests will be skill-based. There will never be a quest where you have to kill an NPC. You will complete different achievement type quests, like killing an enemy with a particular weapon at a particular range. You don't have to complete main quests to progress your character either, and there will be no set spawns or events during specific quests. You could come in contact with AI or players from the dynamic world around you, and that could affect your mission, but no set events. This will allow for a more unique, organic feel to every mission. Also, branching quests. After a player receives a quest, another character can chime in with a slightly different proposition. Players can pick depending on their morals or favoring the better reward. Completing quests and choosing who to cooperate with will shift the player's reputation with each character, providing them with new possibilities or different choices. This just further adds to the real organic nature of the experience. Base health of both players and AI are the same, so no time to kill issues like other games. Thank you. Why haven't other games done this yet? Or, to my knowledge, haven't done it. No hit points. Correctly identify the injury and find the right solution. This is what I've always wanted. I can't wait to see how it feels in game. The game uses Unreal Engine 5 and it looks fantastic from what we've seen so far. I just hope the performance is good. The game will have at least 150 quests at early access launch, with more planned later, which for an early access title is a huge number. Quests like having to locate and kill a particular criminal and deciding how you're going to approach the attack with careful planning is supposed to be a big part of the gameplay experience. Maybe you scout for a while, find your target, observe the AI's behavior and movements, and figure out how to handle the situation. This more patient, smart kind of gameplay is what's being promoted with every aspect of Gray Zone Warfare. 6 characters will be available at early access launch, with more planned in the future. Weapons are supposed to be highly customizable. Depending on the assortment of attachments, the behavior and performance of each weapon can change, as I talked about earlier. The persistent servers will have a map size of 42 square kilometers with 3 factions with 16 players in each faction for a total of 48 players with 1,000 AI. To have that many AI in a server, I hope the performance is okay. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some issues with servers at launch. Either way, they're trying to create an experience that is focused more on PvE with a sprinkle of PvP, which I'm totally down for if the balance feels right. They say the closer to the middle of the map you get, the more difficult it will be, and Ground Zero is in the center. I'll touch more on Ground Zero later. Now, they keep reiterating stating every move matters, and when you die, you lose all your gear. I'd imagine teammates could potentially recover it from your dead body, but that's if they're able to. They will have to make tough decisions based on their immediate situation. I see a lot of tense and chaotic moments being born from this style of gameplay that are what make a tactical shooter so fun and immersive. Players might want to let other players move by or engage them. Could be the same faction as you, might not be. Or you might want to kill them for their gear. Or communicate with them through proximity chat. Imagine the possible negotiations and other player interactions. Proximity chat is essential in an open world game with PvP, and I'm glad this game will feature it. Also, the devs say Gray Zone Warfare will not hold your hand. There won't be big waypoint markers guiding you. Read the briefing carefully, familiarize yourself with the land, and execute your plan. You will then return to your faction's base. It is important to note this is not an extraction in the typical gaming sense, as it is a persistent server. Another focus of the devs is on environmental storytelling and optional intel items players can find in the world to learn more about Lemang and their current conflicts. And coming later in development, not at early access release, will be several bandit camps players will be able to assault. I'm interested to see how they integrate that in the future. The developers say they are nearing feature lock, which means locking in all the features they want for early access. Release is soon. I think the first quarter of the year is possible. And for all you console players wondering if it's coming to you, they want to get on consoles after the PC release, after some hot fixes, make sure it's ready for console, and if it sells. Now, there was an interview of the game's military advisor, Sean McFate, military expert and current advisor to the Pentagon, done by Rick Lagnies, head of communications at Madfinger Games, that made me more excited about the game and interested in what actual real-life PMCs really are and the shadow wars raging on every day while we live our lives. McFate says he received an email from Marek Rabas, creative director of the game, who had read McFate's books on actual Gray Zone Warfare and asked him to help in the development. McFate was interested in how games are made, and so he jumped on board as an advisor. He revealed a lot of what actual Gray Zone Warfare is. He went on to explain, "It is not at peace but not at war. These are covert operations bleeding into private warfare. PMCs or mercenaries are growing exponentially today, but they use creative and ethically challenged methods like proxy forces and weird technologies. These are small groups of entrepreneurial and very lethal teams of fighters that insert via parachute or helicopter. They are comprised of fighters like ex-Green Berets and Delta Forces. They're contracted out to various industries like oil companies and mining companies or billionaires to get out of jail. They work very closely with private CIAs and private intelligence firms. Aristocratic families and city-states are typical clients. Anyone with enough money can hire these teams. What does that world look like? Who's in it? What are they doing? And who are they doing it for? Well, you have to be invited in. It's all who you know, and there's a lot of phonies. These are multicultural teams with each operator bringing a different skill set to the table." He talked about rules of engagement if PMCs encounter each other in the field. He said if it's a surprise, things can go sideways. PMCs could coordinate with each other beforehand if they are in the area, but that's not a definite thing. It's like international criminal organizations that are highly sophisticated. If they run into each other, there could be a firefight. They might even work for the same employer, but it could get bloody nonetheless. It's just wild hearing about all of this, and it definitely gets me excited about the game's lore. And speaking of, Gray Zone Warfare takes place in Lemang, a fictional place somewhere in Southeast Asia, a previously war-ravaged region that had an unspecified environmental disaster occur just a few months after the UN sent in a newly established UNLRA, United Nations Lemang Relief Agency, to provide humanitarian aid. I just want to say I really do love how they're not just going with one particular disaster. There was an asteroid or aliens or something boring and linear. They want you to explore, fight, and find out the truth yourself. I really like that. But moving on, all hell broke loose after that. The UNLRA evacuated with a majority of survivors. The entire area was put under international quarantine with all UN members agreeing not to trespass. Seeing the island was practically abandoned, many crime groups, pirates, and others gathered to loot or claim the island entirely, engaging with left-behind Lemang armed forces guarding high-value targets. 3 PMC factions gradually arrived and established footholds and started advancing toward what's known as Ground Zero. A series of well-coordinated strikes was launched against the PMCs, and they lost almost all of their previously taken territory. So they started recruiting new elite soldiers to help retake the region and assume full control to Ground Zero. The player is a former member of Special Operation Forces. There are 3 PMC groups, all with different ownership, motivations, and goals, and are as follows. Lemang Recovery Initiative. They're founded and funded by a tech billionaire. It publishes publicizes itself as a strictly philanthropic organization and hires professional security details to protect humanitarians from the malicious forces on the island. Mithras Security Systems. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but there you go. They're run by soldiers for soldiers. They don't ask questions, they want the best of the best, and all get paid according to their status within their unit and performance in the field. And finally, Crimson Shield International. They're a private military company that rose to infamy during the early stages of the Syrian civil war. They boast a 95% success rate with their questionable methods often resulting in collateral damage. Only the truly exceptional soldiers make it as far as to be deployed on an actual combat mission. Sounds cool. So with everything I've seen so far, I'm excited for this game. Being early access, I don't expect something bug-free and feature-complete, but if they follow through with what they've outlined for the early access release, it should be something worth my time and attention. What do y'all think? Comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe with the notification bell on for further Gray Zone Warfare updates. See you later.